We're going to cover video. We're going to cover social media. We're going to talk about expireds and FSBOs. We're going to talk
Hmm.
about direct mail and open houses. Kind of like what you're saying, Jimmy, like the the past and proven, which I
Yeah.
would say would be things like expireds and FSBOs and direct mail and your past clients. But then we're
Hmm.
going to cover the hot new stuff that includes videos and social media and emails and text messages and tactics people are not deploying up to this point. But
Hmm.
every single thing we'll cover today will fall into one of those buckets. The other thing that I was hoping you could talk to the audience about is like we know what a marketing funnel is. I think most of the people on a call with us understand what a marketing funnel is. It has a top, a middle, and a bottom.
Hmm.
And we usually think of it as, the top of the funnel is really wide.
Yep.
It's a bunch of people that to get them interested, you have to do stuff that's mass appeal. And then you kind of move them through the funnel, and everybody just really wants the bottom of the funnel. But we thought really deeply about this. Like you should think of seller leads as their own funnel. So walk people through
Sure.
this, Jimmy.
Well, I think a really healthy marketing strategy. There's only
Hmm.
three things you've got to get right, and
Hmm.
these are things I would write down right now because these are three things that kind of can act as a little bit of a north star for you. Which is you have to first be able to grow your database. That means
Hmm.
finding new ways to connect with more people who are maybe a little bit earlier in the process. This is why we say top of funnel is like, hey, your referrals and people who are like in your network, raising awareness that you exist. So number one, you've got to grow your database. And to be clear, I refer to your database as the people who follow you on social, the people who are in your CRM, the people that you see at the coffee shop. I mean, people that basically just know that you exist. Number two,
Hmm.
you've got to engage your database. So you got to grow it, you got to engage it. Get in front of them with content, get in front of them with events, get in front of them with something of value that basically reminds them that you exist. And finally, number three, you got to convert your database. And if you do all three of those consistently, you are going to build a healthy business. But Chris, if you go to the next slide for me for a second, like what we find to be the case, and Chris and I thought a lot about this, like what are some of the limiters that cause people who are on today's call to not grow when they're totally capable of doing so? Actually, in the chat right now, let us know, like for your business today, do you feel like growth is getting harder or easier? Just drop in the chat, harder or easier for you. What are the where is it at right now for you? And you can just see harder, 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 harder. We get a few people who are balling out right easier, but Chris, I'm looking at the responses. About 90% of people who responded are saying it's getting harder. And I think if
Hmm.
you were to look at your business, chances are if it feels harder, you're more likely on the left side of this chart, which
Yeah.
is the majority of your business is coming from your sphere and your clients.
Hmm.
Whereas if you feel like growth is more predictable, growth is a little bit easier, growth feels like it's more in your control, you're likely
Yeah.
on the right side of this chart. Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
And so what
Well,
I would say here,
I was just gonna ask Jimmy really quick in the audience,
yeah,
like number one, if you guys can see each other's messages in the chat, drop a Y. Put a Y in
yeah,
the chat if you can see each other's. Okay, cool. Because I wasn't sure if you could. You guys can stop now. But yeah,
yeah.
almost everybody is saying harder.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and what I was going to just ask as a follow up, just to almost prove your point, is let's drop in the chat what percentage, and you don't have to be perfect on the number, but get as close as you can. What percentage of your listings
Mm-hmm.
comes from your past clients and referrals? What
Yeah.
percentage of your listings come from your past clients and referrals?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of numbers above 80, Jimmy. Now there's also
Yeah.
20%, 40%. Now, one thing I should throw out there is like if you haven't been in the business that long, it would be 0%, right?
That's
So
correct.
factoring that in. But you'll notice like whether it's Jan or Priscilla or Carmen,
Yep.
100%. Peggy Sue, 90%. Chate, 90. My girl Nikki from NYC, Nikki Bocamp,
Yeah.
80. Angela, 70. And these are some of the best agents that we know.
Totally.
They just don't have that ratio right. So what
I'll, t-
you're
I'll,
suggesting is that
Yeah.
if growth is hard, it's probably because you're in that coasting chart. And if growth is easier, you're probably in the growing side where you're actually bringing in listings from all three sources.
Well, one of the things that's super interesting, we'll spend just another minute on this because it's important to understand. Because when we start talking about all these tactics, you have to kind of put them in the right context. Chris,
Hmm.
if you have gotten comfortable getting customers from your SOI, it's really hard to pick up the phone and make a phone call to a stranger. It's real.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like if you're getting layups and layups and layups, like because you did a great job, you're an amazing agent, you've been doing it for a long time. It is like
Hmm.
so unnatural to feel like you're starting from the beginning. Like these people should just come to me because they know me. And so what I would say
Yeah.
is like the thing I would call out is a skill that I observe amongst just high performing agents is they develop one really important superpower. They can
Hmm.
convert strangers into customers like nobody's business. And
Yep.
I mean, like you can take customers and turn them into customers. That's a great business to have. And coasting is maybe not the right word. Maybe it's maintaining. But if you're in a growth mindset, you have got to
Yeah.
be in a position where you're like, hey, I got to take strangers and turn them into customers. And that's a skill, Chris.
Yeah. And I wanted to show the funnel again, just because you're right. The widest part of the funnel is, remember, it's also the top of the funnel. It's the least likely to transact.
Yeah.
Most of your past clients in your SOI are not transacting. Your current listings are already listed,
Yeah.
but they can refer people. They can refer friends. They can refer family. They can refer neighbors. Where it gets really exciting is like in the middle of the funnel, which we're going to show
Hmm.
people is kind of the holding pattern. That's where you have empty nesters. That's where you have people that want to know what their equity is, people that
Sure.
want to know what a cash offer might look like, people that actually care about market reports and, sold data. And then at the bottom of the funnel, quite frankly, by far the best is the
Yeah.
people that are actively looking for a realtor right now. And so if
Exactly.
you go back to this and you go, okay, this is the right ratio, right? I
Hmm.
want listings and I want referrals, but I want that middle and the bottom of the funnel too. Another thing I would add to this, Jimmy, and this is why it can be a little bit daunting and overwhelming to keep up with everything, because the market changes. And when the market changes, marketing must change too.
Hmm.
Like I'll ask 1,000 people, has the market changed? Yes. Has
Hmm.
marketing changed? Yes. Has your marketing changed? Oh, no. My marketing's
Hmm.
pretty much what it was a decade ago. And I wanted to walk people through the evolution of seller lead magnets because when we go through FSBOs and direct mail and everything we're going to go through today, which is really good content, like I
Hmm.
just want people to understand that, and this goes back to your point earlier, Jimmy, keep doing what worked, but add new stuff that works. Try new stuff that works. So if you go back to 2012, this is what we call the good old days. We used to run Facebook ads
Yeah.
that said, want to know what your home's worth? Click
Sure.
here. And
Sure.
people would get listings from that. People would get CMA requests from that. It actually generated high quality leads. But then came the iBuyer craze. So as opposed to people wanting to know what their Zestimate was, right, which is kind of what a
Hmm.
realtor could offer through a CMA that was more accurate, then people wanted to know, well, how much will you offer to buy my house? So like even when you would get his estimate, it would say want a cash offer, get
Yeah.
open door, mailing stuff, newspaper ads, radio ads, direct mail ads. And then what happened is the market was so good for so long that the
Hmm.
right way to reach out was an equity check.
Hmm.
Because, and by the way, this is something that's incredibly important for your past clients in your sphere of influence. Because if they're not looking to sell anytime soon, they're still going to be tremendously interested in their
Hmm.
equity.
Hmm.
So as values went up, like, hey, home values went up, like, I don't even know if I want to check my equity in a bad market, but in a good market, I want that twice a year update on how much
Yeah.
equity I've gained. Well, there's a new lead magnet that I don't see people offering. And this is just again, marketing evolves, which is net proceeds. Because remember,
Mm-hmm.
to stand out, to be a purple cow, you have to offer things that are different and unique. At this
Mm-hmm.
point, what's my home worth is kind of, being used a ton. Cash offers. Mark Spain does cash offers. Some of the best realtors in the world have guaranteed sale, cash offer. You should offer all these options. But what I don't see happening, Jimmy, is net proceeds.
Mm-hmm.
Because somebody interested in net proceeds is actually going to be the most likely to transact soon.
Mm-hmm.
So, as an example, how much will I make selling my house? And I was
Mm-hmm.
doing research on this, and it was amazing to me. Like, there's some tools out there, they exist, don't get me wrong. But most realtors don't have anywhere in their marketing and anywhere on their website a simple place for somebody to check what their net proceeds would be. In
Mm-hmm.
fact, I bought the domain name
Mm-hmm.
sellernetproceeds.com.
Yeah.
Every variation I checked was available. Home seller net proceeds,
Yeah.
listing net proceeds. And I want to show you guys what I did because I built this as a tool that you guys can use, that you can provide and offer as a, hey, would you like to know what you'd walk away with? And it's super simple. So I can come in and say, my house is worth 850.
Yeah.
I can see that my not 85,000, 850. I've got, let's say 180,000 left on my mortgage,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm in Florida, right? So right away I can see net proceeds 599, and that factors in the closing costs. That factors in the mortgage payoff, and it breaks down where it all goes. But I could also go a little bit more advanced. And I can say, well, what would happen if I worked with an agent that it was 5% commission, not 6? What would
Mm-hmm.
happen if, as an example, I needed to put, $14,000 into repairs and the net proceeds changes immediately? So
Mm-hmm.
do you guys think this is valuable? Do you guys want access to sellernetproceeds.com? Okay, so that domain's up. I'll leave it up. There's no registration. There's no retargeting. I'm not collecting leads. I'm not sending the leads to Zillow. Like, you guys can just all use this to your heart's galore. And
Yeah.
I built that tool using AI, Jimmy. But I just think that we have to evolve and we have to change our messaging as the market changes.
This is so well, what's so cool about this, Chris. I hope you guys are appreciating the fact that we have this free tool now, sellernetproceeds.com. What there's two things that jump out to me, and I want to ask you a question on this, which is number
Mhm.
one, I think let me know in the chat. Just put a B in the chat. Like if somebody wants to know what their net proceeds are going to be, do you think that's a bottom of the funnel lead? Just put a B. Like if someone wants to know what their seller proceeds are, like if so, Chris, you've got this tool now. I'm an agent. I got the tool. I use it. One of my tools. I use this tool. Okay. Now we want to
Mhm.
incorporate this in some of our marketing. We want to kind of
Yeah,
have it like we want to have it maybe in some of our ads. We want to maybe include it in our, like a PS in our
yeah,
email signature. What
yeah.
might be the way you frame this that would entice somebody to click through to actually go through this process? Like what might be the hook? What might be the angle? Where does your head go when you think about like getting
Yeah.
getting as many people to fill this form out as possible?
Well, to be really clear, we're going to cover ways throughout this workshop that you can use this exact tool as the hook. But let me
Yeah.
make something really, really important here. You can offer to tell somebody what their home's worth, and you can ballpark a cash offer, and you can do an equity check, and you can do a CMA. And the only thing you need to do any of those things is their address.
Hmm.
What do I need that's a little bit different here, Jimmy, to do net proceeds that's not publicly available, that I
Hmm.
don't know without them telling me, that would also, by the way, be awkward to ask for?
Hmm. Yeah, their
How about,
mortgage.
what's your mortgage payoff? Like, that's
Yeah.
almost rude to ask someone, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So I just want to be really clear here. What you're doing is you're doing a two-step. You're reaching out offering this through DMs and emails. We'll cover a bunch of ways to offer it, but you're offering it and they have to reply in
Hmm.
order for you to send it to them. And you want to make it really clear, like, I'm not looking to be nosy. It's anonymous. You can put in your loan balance. You can put in what you're hoping to sell your home for. So I just want to make that really clear because a lot of data you don't have. Now, occasionally there's
Hmm.
these big data providers and they sort of have some of that data on what the loan payoff is and this and that. But if I were a local realtor, I would feel uncomfortable asking for that unless I was working with them, you know, and they had already signed a listing agreement. But
Yeah.
there's a lot to cover, there's a lot to think about. You have a really good way of thinking about this that simplifies it because I think there's 34 templates that we're about to share.
Hmm.
There's countless tactics. And
Yeah.
I have a feeling by the end of the call, and maybe even already, people are going to be really overwhelmed with how much to
Yeah.
learn. So, what
Hmm.
is your ideology on like how do we leave the call and execute versus leave the call sort of all fired up with nowhere to go?
Yeah, there's a lot, like as Chris mentioned, there's going to be a lot of information we're going to cover in this workshop over the next 90 minutes. And the thing I would have you do as part of this exercise is, let's say you have a goal this year to generate $300,000 in commission. Okay.
Mhm.
Let's say it's goal. And everyone in the call knows what their goal is. Like whatever that goal is. 150,000, 300,000. You want to make your first seven figures in this business, whatever that goal is. The question I
Mhm.
would ask myself is this when we go through all these tactics is, what is the blocker that is going to prevent me from achieving that goal? Is that
Mhm.
getting more people who already know me to hire me? Is that the blocker, or is it I have the people who know me by and large all hire me, but my real kind of constraint or my real blocker is people who don't know me hiring
Mhm.
me. And of course, the people who don't know you are going to be a much larger bucket. But in your mind, you have to ask yourself the question: what is the constraint? What is the thing that is blocking me from achieving my goal? And for some of
Yeah.
you, it might be a combination of the two. It might be one of those two, or it might just be the fact that people who already know you, you just got to get them to refer you and hire you more. So as we go through these tactics and we go through these strategies and we go through these ideas with you, I would say look at it through the lens. This is the only thing you have to remember. Look at it through the lens of, okay, this is going to help me. This is going to help me convert strangers into customers, or this is going to help
Mhm.
me convert my SOI into repeat and referral business.
Yeah. And I'm actually going to push back for 1 second because I have some data, Jimmy, that I got
Hmm.
from Fellow. I did a deep dive with them and I said,
Sure.
because I was researching what percentage of human beings that are, buy or sell a home every year. It's about 3.3%.
Yep.
But because you guys are all real estate agents and realtors, your database on average, if I looked at all 420 databases on the call well, minus the chat bots, by the way, the note takers might be 30
Yeah.
of those people. But if I were to look at every single database, the reality is 8% of your
Hmm.
database transacts per year. 8%.
Yeah.
And I want to speak to someone that left a nice comment. I don't want them to get mad at me. Damian Hall. He said, people who don't know me is who he needs help with. People in our ecosystem, we win every time. It's not true. It's not true. Now, I agree with him that people that know us that we talk to,
Yeah.
but there are a lot of people that know you that you never get the conversation with because of the 8% of people in your database that are going to do a deal, 95% of them won't do it with you.
Yeah.
The best teams and agents in the country only
Sure.
convert 5% of the 8%. And I
It's
find
such
that
a
to be sad. So I just want to say, don't everybody just think, oh, I just need more people to know me. No, you have to do a lot of stuff for the
yeah,
people that do know you because there's a lot of money, low hanging fruit right there on the table. And I agree, Damien's probably right. If he gets at it bad, he hits the ball. But how
for
many at bats
sure.
are Yeah.
Well, Chris, this is such a great sort of extension of this thought, which is someone can be in your database and not know you.
Mhm.
I think I think it's the reality is many of us. I had a buddy, Chris, who bought his house like 3 years ago. We were just talking about real estate. I'm like, hey, who was your agent? And it took him like 15 seconds to remember who represented him. And even at
Yeah.
that point, he had to look it up. So like
Yeah.
there's like relationships have an expiration date. And so if
Mhm.
you've got like someone in your database you haven't been nurturing, of course they're going
Yeah.
to hire your competition. So Chris, let's
Yeah.
get into the
And
first
I would
tactic.
also say, by the way, the takeaways on this call, there's going to be some stuff people can do in the second half of the workshop
Yeah,
that will get them listings immediately from those people that do know them. But
I
Chris
love it.
Soft made a good point. Loyalty does not exist like it used to. And Rosie, I bet a lot of people can feel that pain, Jimmy. I had a
Hmm.
client text me to ask for my inspector recommendation because their parents' home were under contract. Like, how's that? Like, damn, let me get that referral, yo. So first up,
Yeah,
tried
sure.
and true. We talked about
Yeah.
this. One of my favorite quotes is don't trip over nickels to pick up pennies. And
Hmm.
I think that when it comes to direct mail, when it comes to proven ways to get listings, the first two things we're going to start with are absolutely need to be part of the mix. The magic buyer letter,
Hmm.
Tiffany Vasquez is killing it. Walk through this,
Yeah.
Jimmy.
Well, at a high level, the magic buyer letter is taking your buyers and turning them into listing opportunities. Everybody on today's call, I don't even have to ask this right now, but everyone on today's call and everyone who watches the replay has buyers that are qualified, that are motivated, that are ready to actually move forward, but don't actually have a home that's actively listed on the market that meets their requirement. And so we
Mhm.
know as we look at the market, anywhere only about 2 or 3% of homes in a given market are actually ever going to sell within that sort of 12-month period, which means 97% of the homes that could potentially be a fit for your buyer are not going to basically become available. The problem is that right now we don't have a strategy for the other 97%. And so the very
Mhm.
first thing you need, and we'll break the letter down here in a second, but the very first thing you need is you need to have a qualified, motivated buyer who is actually serious. You can't fake, Chris. You can't fake this, okay? And so we could spend some time in the app and the overtime going through some of this stuff. Then what we want to do is we want to get a list of all of the homes. We can use PropStream, we can use a title rep, a list of all of the homes that meet my buyer's criteria. Now, this is an example, Chris, where specificity really matters. I'm not looking
Yep.
to send a letter to 3,000 people. I'm actually looking to specifically cherry pick what I would call like the 100 and 150 homes that would probably be a good fit or at least worth exploring. And then the
Yeah.
next thing I'm going to do, so I've got my buyer who's motivated. I've got my list of homes that meet the criteria on the surface. Then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm
Mhm.
going to send this letter. And you can go ahead and pull the letter up. And this is an example of the magic buyer letter. And there's so much gold in here, but I think let's focus on the right hand side, not the left hand side for now. The framework is you introduce yourself. Hey, Chris, this is Jimmy. I know you probably weren't expecting to get this in your mailbox, but
Mhm.
I'm reaching out because I have Chris and Anna who are looking to make a move in Avalon Park. They're motivated, they're qualified, they're looking for this particular property type, this particular price range. We've looked at all the houses on the market, nothing fits their criteria, which is why we're reaching out. This is sort of the sharing the story and highlighting the challenge. And then
Yep.
I make it as personal, as specific, as relevant as I possibly can, which is that section where we dive into, hey, this is what they're looking for. And then, oh, by the way, like, we just want an opportunity to maybe have a conversation. And then I give the consumer, the seller in this case, I give them a little bit of an out here, which is I'm like, hey, listen, even if you're not even thinking about considering selling right now, this is just an invitation to have a conversation.
Yep.
And then my very last thing in this, you guys have heard me say this before, but it's this idea of what is your ask? What are you trying to get them to do? And the biggest mistake people make when it comes to direct response sales letters is they have too many asks. Hey, Chris, scan
Mhm.
this QR code. Hey, Chris, call me on this number. Hey, Chris, text me if you're ready. Hey, Chris, here's my email address. Oh, by the way, follow me on Facebook. Okay. Like
Mhm.
one letter, one offer. That's the rule. Like
Hmm.
you almost never break that rule. And so you can see here, it's like, hey, they're well qualified, they're
Yeah.
pre-approved, and they're open to making updates if necessary. If you're just open to the idea of having a conversation, I'd love to connect. Here's my phone number. So
Yeah.
if you go back to the
Let
data,
me throw
Chris.
one thing in there just really quick is I have a great day, by the way. And
Yeah.
I already started thinking like, man, it would be so cool if the people that bought my house
Yeah.
continued the legacy of a great Dane,
and
living it.
the, well, it's and this is the thing about it is you in marketing you need a trigger and there's a
Mhm.
catalyst. So for someone, we actually have data on this, Chris. People think about selling for about 6 to 8 months. Seriously, think about selling for about 6 to 8 months before they actually like reach out to an agent and take the next step. And so,
Mhm.
and by the way, it gets a lot more expensive to acquire that customer, Chris, the closer you
Mhm.
get to that decision. So what we're trying to do is get ahead of that and kind of compete in the sort of blue ocean strategy. So you can see the numbers on this, just incredible results. Here's what I would say. The first
Mhm.
strategy is the magic buyer letter. I think this is a requirement for 26. If you want to add a listing or two a month, I'm a huge fan of this strategy. You've heard me
Yeah.
advocate for before, but this is like a blocking and tackling.
Yeah.
Make this an SOP.
Exactly. Because then you won't hate buyers as much. because
That's
because
right.
then every time you get a buyer,
You're
it
like, okay, let
triggers
me.
this. Yeah, it's perfect. And all you're doing is really saying, what is the listing alert they've got set up?
That's right.
Right. Okay. Well, what are the homes that match that there's not gonna be an alert about? So that one's really good. The next one is every time you sell a home, and what I would say is some of the stuff that's tried and true can be done a lot better, Jimmy. So some of this stuff is sort of past and proven,
Yeah, sure.
but what we're doing is we're remixing it for a modern consumer. So as an example, people have been sending just sold collateral for
Mm-hmm.
decades.
Mm-hmm.
But what does the traditional just sold look like? It looks like a
Mm-hmm.
postcard with a picture of the home, with a big sold sticker, with
Yeah,
how much it sold for, with the realtor saying, call me. That's
that's right.
typically what it looks like. This doesn't look anything like it. So I want you to walk me through this, but I want to give people an expert pro tip that'll make this whole workshop better. Every time you see a template you want to use today, I want you
Mm-hmm.
to do two things. I want you to take a screenshot. And then later, not during the workshop, but later, I want you to take that screenshot to ChatGPT
Mm-hmm.
and say, can you write this out for me? But like denote where there's something specific I need to insert. So, like,
Mm-hmm.
as an example on this one, it would be like, hey, I'm reaching out on behalf of my clients, insert client name, who moved to insert market name, right? I just want people to realize like AI can make taking these templates and making them specific to your world 2 seconds. Just throwing that out there. So this letter, I mean, it almost looks like I can't even say it looks like my daughter's homework. It just looks very real, is the first thing that comes to mind.
Well, this we use a company, and by the way, just real quick, Angela wrote 90 letters to an FHA approved condo complex, got one listing, sold it to my investors, and double popped it for 4 transactions. So, like, just shout out to
Yeah.
Angela on the magic buyer letter. I mean, I hear stories like that every week. 4 transactions from that campaign. So, just magic buyer letter, absolutely killer strategy. So this campaign, Gretchen Coley ended up getting around like $2.5 million in listings from me, Chris.
Mhm.
And there's so many things I like about this. The first thing is being different on purpose. I believe the site is called, and we'll fact check, it's like yellowletters.com. Or I'll find it afterwards. I'll drop a link into it. But you can actually hire a direct mail service that will send yellow letters, including, Chris, a customized sticky note on top of the letter. So
Mhm.
that they're like just out of the gates. Forget about the actual message itself. The medium in which it's delivered is
Mhm.
different, which in itself stands out. The second thing
Yep.
is this letter is so to the point. Hey, your neighbors hired us to sell their house. Here's what happened. A, B,
Mhm.
C.
Mhm.
Here's what's happening. Here's what's happening in the market. We can help you take advantage of your home's increased value. Here's a CTA. Call us if you're considering selling your house. We are not beating around the bush in this letter. This is not like let's
Yeah.
show some empathy. Let's like no. This is a we're gonna mail you this letter. And it's like a punch you in the face moment. Buy right now. And so this
Yeah.
this kind of QVC style approach to sales
Hmm. Hmm.
absolutely works when you can back it with like a really strong success story, Chris. Which is I think the
Yeah.
requirement.
Exactly. So every time we get a buyer, we have a
Yep.
buyer letter campaign. Every time we get
Mm-hmm.
a sold, we do a sold letter campaign. But the other thing with direct mail is like most direct mail that is a postcard. I'm going to show a few postcards that I love. And
Yep.
I didn't even think I would ever say that out loud, but I'm going to talk about why I love these are all direct mail pieces.
Yep.
So number one, should I sell my home this spring? And it's
Mm-hmm.
actually showing the increase in value over the last 5 years. So if you're going to do direct mail, there's no rule that it can't be relevant, timely, and beautiful.
That's
That's
right.
that's rule number one. Rule number two, again, this is called pattern interrupt. If
Mm-hmm.
you were to get this is mail. It looks like a screenshot. It looks like I hit Command Shift 4. It looks
Mm-hmm.
like I hit, side buttons at the same time to screenshot. Katie Day, one of our favorite agents, she sent this as a mailer with the speech bubble. Text me your address and I'll prepare a professional report. And there's stuff on the back, but you get the point here. Now, this would be a good opportunity where you could say, I can tell you, I can do a professional report, or I can send you a link to a free tool that you can check how much you'd walk away with cash at close.
Mm-hmm.
Sellernetproceeds.com. But the point is, this is called building an information gap. And
Mm-hmm.
then they have to walk across to get it. So I love
Mm-hmm.
this. And I know Katie got a bunch of texts. This one I love, Jimmy, because this one is about a listing that expired.
That's
Okay.
right.
But this is not your listing that expired. This is
Mm-hmm.
a home that did not sell. You're not mentioning the agent, you're not mentioning the address, but this is from their neighborhood. There was only 12 photos. Should have had this many. They priced it at 700. Should have been 699. There was no video tour. When it has it, it gets 400% more inquiries. There was no floor plan, right? There was a bunch of MLS jargon. It was stale for 30 days. So
Mm-hmm.
this is like one of those showstoppers where you're going to notice it and it's relevant. But what I would ask you, Jim, because a lot of this direct mail is coming from your team and your designers at listing leads. If I like these ideas,
Mm-hmm.
what goes on the back? Because this has stopping power and
Sure.
it does, there's sort of two to three things you need from a piece of mail. A, you need it to grab their attention, which these do. Then B, you need them to flip it over to figure out who sent it. So
Yeah.
what should the back of something like this say?
I like to follow a very simple framework, which is this just happened. Here's why it matters, and here's what you can do. And so any type of direct mail strategy, whether it's a video, postcard, mailer, text, whatever it is, this just happened.
Mm-hmm.
This is why it matters, and this is what you can do. So in this
Yep.
case, I'm like it's a little bit like, hey, I was analyzing the MLS this morning and found a home that should have sold but didn't. That's my this just happened.
Mm-hmm.
Here's why it matters. If you've been thinking about selling, one of the most common mistakes you have is you don't follow, a professional marketing plan, and you end up just like this person. And so,
Yeah.
like, here's what you do next. So, based on that information, if you're in the situation and this resonates with you, the first step is to do X. Call me,
Mm-hmm.
text me, follow up with me, and I can give you some insight on how to prepare your house before it sells, or
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
ensure it sells.
You could use some of the, magic words from our book, exactly
That's
what to
right.
say for real estate agents, which would be like, imagine how it feels when you put all the work in to list your home and it doesn't sell. Feels
That's right.
terrible. And so this one could be any expired. This one, this is actually a crazy approach for a just sold. And
Mm-hmm.
I love the design. And I taught this a while back, but the quick tip here is if you go to Google Earth, okay,
Yeah.
and you zoom in on a neighborhood and
Yeah.
you take a screenshot. So like this could be your neighborhood. You can
Mm-hmm.
zoom in, you can take a screenshot, you can go to AI and say, A, upscale this and make it 4K print quality. That's one of my new tips, Jimmy. Print
Yep.
quality. That helps a lot with like these letters that you're seeing. That's what I said on all of them. Make them print quality. Okay. But B, remove the home in the center and just leave
Mm-hmm.
an empty lot. So anybody could design this piece of mail for their actual property that they sold. And I love how the house is just missing. So I just thought this was like a really, really cool way to do like a remix on just sold.
Yep.
So direct mail, magic buyer letters, like, and let me actually, before I get into FSBOs, I want
Mm-hmm.
to take this as an example. Like, in the chat, I want you to put a W in the chat if that mail is better than the mail that you either see or send. Because I think design really matters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
everybody's saying W, Jimmy.
Well,
So,
Chris, I'll
yeah,
set you up on the FSBO thing, but I just want to add one
yeah,
little bit of color commentary here. If you go back to that previous slide,
yeah,
this is one. So we all remember the days of 21, 22, and half of 23 where homes were selling in 3 minutes for, 7% above the list price. And
yeah,
so
yeah.
for whatever reason, an agent has told most agents have tell themselves, and I know it's not the people on this call, but most agents tell themselves that if it takes a really long time and it's a really hard sale, they shouldn't do a just sold because it makes them look
Mm,
bad.
mm,
And the exact opposite is true. This is Scott Stedman who set this example out. And it's like you have to put the fear of God into sellers that if they don't hire you, they could
yep,
have like their home could see in the be in the market. They can invest all this time and energy and it won't sell. And so the fact is, like, show the sweat. The sweat is
yeah,
what sells, not just the fact that you sold it in 2 days. If I sold a house in 2 days, Chris, above the ask price, you know what the consumer thinks? Man, that agent was paid a lot of money for 2 days worth
yeah,
of work. Like, maybe I should get my
yep.
license. Like, that's what they're thinking at that
Agreed.
point.
Yeah. And I'll give people a pro tip I didn't even think about until right now. You can use this same concept visually for a coming soon. And instead of an empty lot, there's a big tarp over the house that's going to be revealed when the
Yeah.
listing hits the market. I've seen some really cool designs like that. So the next proven pillar is for sale by owner. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like FSBO, my first ever meeting at a real estate office, they said FSBO. They kept saying FSBO, 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 FSBO. And I left the meeting and I was with my buddy Steve Passanelli. And I said, what's a FSBO? I had no idea. There's so much vernacular that we don't know. But
Sure.
FSBO is literally a four-letter word because I think a lot of people have a limiting belief when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
FSBOs and expires, which
That's
hopefully we
right.
can crack open today. But I wanted to empower you guys with two facts about FSBOs before we go to the tactics. Number one, the average median, the median price of a FSBO is 360. The median
Mm-hmm.
price of an agent assisted property is 425. There's an 18% price gap. What is your commission percentage?
Mm-hmm.
6%, 5%, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the math makes sense to go with an agent because I'm not the best at math, but if I take that 18% price gap and I pull my 6% out of it, they're still up 12%. This is just math. Okay. The second thing, though, this is the one that I was actually really surprised about, Jimmy. 20 to 30% of all FSBOs end up listing with a realtor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if I were to tell you guys, hey, there's 10 people standing outside and three of them are going to sell their home and list their home with an agent soon, you'd be willing to talk to 10 to get to three.
Sure.
100%. So the FSBOs are high quality leads that are
Yep.
easy to convert, and they're already converting. The question is, who's going to convert them?
That's
So
right.
step one is you have to find FSBOs. And
Mm-hmm.
I was familiar with like obviously like Zillow and Craigslist or some of those places, Facebook Marketplace, right? That like those are the places people list their home without you. If you go to Zillow and you put in your zip code and you click the filter, you can put for sale by owner and you can see all
That's
of them,
right.
right? And the other thing that's nice about a FSBO is it's
Hmm.
very, very easy to get their contact information because they have to put it out there or else no one could contact them to buy their home. But there's some places you guys can find FSBOs that you may not be looking. Number one, and Jimmy brought this to my attention. There's actually like Orlando FSBO groups on Facebook. So there are
Hmm.
like Facebook groups that are for people that want to sell their home without an agent. There's also for sale by owner.com. There's
Hmm.
FSBO.com and there's
Hmm.
FSBR.com. Those are platforms and all they have are FSBOs. And then you'll also find people in Nextdoor looking to sell their home through there too.
Yeah.
So maybe you're looking at Zillow, maybe skim Craigslist, maybe you've thought to check Facebook Marketplace, but step one is finding the FSBOs. Step
Hmm.
two is organizing them
Hmm.
into the ones worth spending time on and the ones that you should probably ignore because there's going to be dozens and dozens of them. So you want to really have a precise radar for the FSBOs worth focusing on. So what is a hot FSBO lead? Number one, if they've been a for sale by owner for 30 or more days and they've already lowered the price, it's a hot FSBO lead. They're
Hmm.
already getting frustrated. They're already lowering the price. Number two, bad pictures, terrible copy, poorly marketed listings. So
Hmm.
kind of back to uh, this, right?
That's right.
If they did
That's right.
this, they're a hot FSBO lead. The other thing is, if you know it's overpriced, then they haven't made any adjustments. That's a good FSBO lead because it ain't going to get bought. It's, you know that they just haven't come to terms with that. The other little indicator is if they're offering buyer agent commissions, which
Hmm.
obviously is kind of a way to get more agents to bring them buyers. Well, that means they've already met you halfway on willingness to pay
That's right.
commission. You just
That's
have to
right.
get them to do the seller commission. On the flip side, what would be a cold FSBO? Well, it's just the antithesis of everything I just said. They're doing
Yep.
a good job with their listing. They follow up quickly. They've already adjusted the price. They've got good pictures and they've got a good description. So, Jimmy, you work with someone that has sort of mastered for sale by owners,
Hmm.
and he uses a three-step approach, whether it's knocking on their door, calling
Hmm.
them, texting them. The examples we're going to walk through are letters. Okay.
Yeah.
These are letters. But the sort of method and the methodology through which you reach out can be a door knock, can be a phone call, can be a text, can be an email. I want to just make that really clear. We're going to show it as a letter,
Yeah.
but you could deploy this concept through any of those mediums.
Well, just the strategy we're going to break down here, Chris. I'll let you walk through sort of the letters here, but the strategy we're going to break down is from Scott Burrows. Scott Burrows, just in perspective, like back in 22, 23, his business was really struggling. He felt like, his sphere was drying up because the market was shifting and he was looking to add a new lead pillar. So when he
Hmm.
started kind of getting serious about it in 24, he got like 6 FSBOs in all of 2024. Last year, he took on like 15. This year, he's already kind of pacing above that. So this strategy is built on a guy who hasn't been doing it for 20 years. He had to
Hmm.
just adjust his business and say, I got to add additional pillar. I might as well do one that I think there's probably a little bit of a blue ocean for. And it has become a staple in his business.
Yeah. So three steps, and
Yeah.
you're right. It's a blue ocean. Like I'll be honest, Jimmy. I would work expireds and FSBO super hard, meaning I'd have someone on my team working them super hard. But but I would rather a FSBO than an expired
Yeah.
because and the reason I say that is because someone that's expired probably already didn't take the advice several times versus a
Yeah.
FSBO where it's like, I can just come from contribution, which is what this does. Letter number one is the respectful introduction. build with trust, lead with empathy. You can see in the letter, hey, there's nothing more annoying than realtors blowing up your phone. I genuinely respect the fact that you're trying to do this on your own, right? I'm a real estate agent. I've got access to some stuff you may not have. He gives three specific tips.
Yeah.
Hey, this will help you do it without me. Pick up every call, stay neutral, host an open house, right?
Hmm.
There's what Keller Williams always says, come from contribution, right?
Yep.
This is what Gary Vee would call the thank you economy, right? You're
Hmm.
like providing value. And then the soft network, you can see the PS. PS, I'll be sure to share your home with my network and reach out if anyone's interested. So that's the first one, the respectful intro. The second one, and again, this could be the door knock, but it's the CMA and the offer. Address the pricing pain. Hey, and
Yeah.
one of the biggest challenges is pricing. You know, Unfortunately, create urgency. If your property sits on the market too long, it's going to have a negative perception. People are going to think something's wrong with it. So, how about this? I'll just give you a CMA. You can look at
Hmm.
it. There's no commitment. Or I can use that in conjunction with a net proceeds tool that I have to let you know what you'd walk away with. At least look at the data, right? That's what smart people do when they're doing a transaction like this. And then
Hmm.
the third one, this is one of my favorites, is the 30-day test run, which is,
Yep.
we're going to talk about Beacon in a second, which is our tool that helps you get sellers, keep sellers. Well, we want people to be able to try our service and our business with risk free, as risk free as possible, let's call it within reason. So the third thing Scott does is he offers a 30-day listing agreement. Now, one thing to be clear, even a 6-month agreement can be a 30-day agreement because they can fire you anytime they want to. They can withdraw their listing anytime they want to. But this is leaning into the 30 days. Hey, how about this? We'll list it for 30 days. We'll do all the professional marketing and exposure. We'll get it out to our database. By the way, one of these ladies that took me up on this, Jane,
Hmm.
actually ended up getting a multiple offer and sold her home for 8% over her asking price. So this is what you would call strategery, right? It's a three-step process that you use on the hot FSBO leads. Anything to add there, Jim?
Well, I think the point there is for everyone who's listening, and I think you called it out, Chris, which is there are certain types of FSBO leads that are higher quality that you should go after, and it's the ones who have been beaten down by the market.
Yeah.
And the first 30 days they are still living in the fantasy world that they can put their house up with their crappy photos, and some buyer is going to be stupid enough to basically offer them 10% above the list price. They have to kind of get it's the same reason why like second time founders are better than first time founders, like on
Yep.
average. Like you got to kind of let them get exposure to the market, because the market doesn't have feelings. The market is going to tell them your house is not good enough, and or it's not good enough for that price. They have to go through that process. So I just love this strategy. Even if you don't have, by the way, even if you don't have that many FSBOs in your market, get
Mhm.
like this is one of the easiest ways to add 2 or 3 transactions a year, Chris. And this is
Yes.
this is the point we talked about earlier. Like some of you, like, hey, I don't have that many FSBOs. That's okay. We're not looking to add 50 like transactions to your business off of this one strategy.
Yeah.
Really good agents, they have like 7, 10 pillars, and they all
Yeah.
equal a really big number, but some of
Yep.
them are just a little bit smaller than the others. Is the point?
Exactly. And really quickly, there's some people that are having challenges on their side. Do me a favor, you guys. If you can see the slides, just put in a Y in the chat so that
Hmm.
people can see that you can see all the slides. So,
Yeah,
for those of you that can't see the slides, just to be really clear, you might be in the wrong tab on Zoom. Zoom has 2 tabs sometimes. You have to switch to the screen share tab. Or if
yeah,
you're on your phone, you have to swipe to the screen share. So I didn't want to spend a lot of time on that, but for those of you that can't see the slides, you're in the minority there. Everyone else can
okay,
see them. So Jimmy, what we've talked about a lot is kind of go where the market takes you,
yeah.
right? And do it in a new and creative way. So one of the things that we've researched with Beacon is that the market is dictating, and this is sort of it's a weird way to frame it, but it's like one of the best ways to get seller leads is to not lose the listings you already got.
That's right.
It's sort of like um, addition by not subtraction. And so what happens is as days on market goes up, which
Sure.
300, it's up 300% in the last 4 years.
That's right.
When price reductions go up, they're up
Mhm.
124% in the last 3 years. And when expireds go up, which at this point, 25% of all listings are expired, you need
Hmm.
a clear plan to keep your sellers happy.
That's
You need
right.
a clear plan that creates price reduction conversations that doesn't wait for you to check in. And we asked this on the last call we did. If you look at your average days on market and you say, man, my average days on market is 80 or 40. Well, then your marketing plan and your communication plan needs to be 40 days. And so, Jimmy, that is why we built Beacon. And
Hmm.
I want you to walk people through Beacon in a second. But before you do, I
Yep.
just wanted to point out one thing because we're about to go through expireds. We just went through FSBOs. I want to read two of these quotes on the screen. So, Katie Lucy, it, Beacon is next level. I impress my sellers. I have won listing appointments by showing how I collect and communicate property activity. Makes me look like a pro. But I want to point out Shannon Gillette specifically.
Hmm.
Because if I were to ask most people about Shannon Gillette, they would be like, oh my God, her marketing is amazing. She's one of the best people at marketing in the industry. She has YouTube videos and social media videos that go viral all the time. She's clever, she's creative, she's really good at what she do. But you know what's interesting? And look at the quote about 30% of my listings are takeovers. A
Hmm.
takeover means it was withdrawn and came to her or
Yeah.
expired and came to her. The number one reason sellers give for firing their previous agent, lack of communication and updates. Beacon makes it easy, clean, professional to impress sellers. So,
Yeah.
Jimmy, we don't have to spend a ton of time on this. We'd love people to try it. We've actually
Sure.
got some really exciting announcements today. But let's walk through a beacon because so many people invest time and money into getting leads, but
Yeah.
not a lot of people are investing in the servicing of the business that they have.
The way to think about this right now, and this is so important, and I think we have some Beacon clients on today's call. So if you're using Beacon right now, let us know in the chat. We obviously love to hear the feedback, and I'm sure it'll be helpful for everyone else who's tuned in as well. Chris, the reason we built Beacon is one absolutely mission critical idea is
Mhm.
if you don't document your process, you can't amplify your success.
Mm.
And so what happens is you're looking at Beacon. Chris is going through Beacon. He's going over the executive summary. He's going over the marketing highlights. We can go a little bit slower here, Chris. Like he's going through like,
Yeah.
hey, here's all the things we're doing to basically promote your home. If you scroll down for me. Here are some examples of campaigns we've actually done. If you keep scrolling, here's like, hey, some showings that we have logged and what we're doing. I mean, this is so like as a seller, you're like, oh, this agent's working their butt off for me. We give them an analysis of what's happening in the market. This is a report that all of our clients, by the way, I love Leah's comment, Beacon is our secret weapon. Like, this is a report that takes all of but 10 minutes to build, and the people in the community right now can provide like context there. But this acts as this tool to document everything you're doing to sell the house. And it's a
Hmm.
way for you to keep your customer happy. It's a way for you to communicate your value. But as I said before, if you don't document your work, you can't amplify your success. And so we built
Yeah.
this tool because, Chris, what we found was this is the pain point is
Hmm.
every agent on the call should be sending their like if you're a listing agent, you should 1000 be set 1000% be sending your sellers a report every week. It's not an
Hmm.
optional, it's a requirement. The reason why this tool exists and the reason why we have thousands of agents using it now is because to develop one of these things, Chris, takes 90
Hmm.
minutes, like
Yeah.
easily. So
Yeah.
we built the technology to do it in less than 10 minutes. It makes you look amazing, but it creates this foundation in which we can start using this tool to keep our customers happy and to amplify to get more listings in the future.
Yeah. And here's what's exciting, and you kind of hit on this. When you have a system of record for all the hard work you do,
That's right.
you can do amazing things with your marketing that you could never do before. Like if
Hmm.
your seller update is an email or a phone call, you can't do what you're about to see. So what's super exciting is today is the official release of Portfolio by Beacon. If you are a Beacon client now, or if you sign up today for the free trial, you're going to have access to Portfolio. And quite frankly, what is Portfolio? Well, it's one of the best ways to get listings and seller leads. It's a seller lead gen magnet. So you can see I'm here on Shannon Gillette's Beacon Portfolio and 1.5 million views and 40% more attention than the competition. It has every campaign for every listing.
Hmm.
It has all of her stats from the last 12 months and throughout her career.
That's right.
It actually takes all of her stats and maps it out in a beautiful way on a map.
Hmm.
Then it analyzes her performance versus the market. So in
Hmm.
this example, her average days on market's 123. Her average price reduction is 4%. The average price reduction in that market is 7.5%. We only know this because it's in the beacons that she's built. This is an example of showcasing your marketing. She's had 2.4 million views of her
Hmm.
properties on social media. She has 117,000 followers. She got 1.9 million impressions from one YouTube campaign, and
Hmm.
she's had over a 250,000 views on the different portals. She got multiple campaigns that have gone viral,
That's right.
and it pulls in all of her seller focused reviews. They highlight the fact that it's above asking, under contract, free lease back, and then it pulls in all of her reviews. So this is called Portfolio. Portfolio is powered by Beacon, and anyone who does the free trial right now, or anyone who is already a Beacon customer, you're getting Portfolio for free. That is a $1,200 a year value. Portfolio is going to be $99 per month. So it's a 7 day free trial. The other thing we're doing is
Hmm.
next Monday, we're hosting a free training for all Beacon clients to walk them through Beacon and Portfolio. Jimmy's got some ridiculous stuff to show you guys. But if you want to do the free trial, very simple, scan the QR code on the screen or go to buildyourbeacon.com. Takes a second, sign up, 7 days free. And if you want to attend the training, maybe you can drop this in the chat, Jimmy. The
Sure.
training is 1 week from today, so that if you are new, you know you're going to get a full training under your belt on how to use it before the 7 day trial ends. Buildyourbeacon.com/training. But I want to go back because I missed the headlines here. Seller leads from your service,
Hmm.
not losing sellers to expireds and withdrawals, and then turning your hard work and your listings into more sellers. That's
Hmm.
what Beacon and Portfolio are all about.
Yeah, I love it. And Chris, real quick, we had a couple questions before we get back to our
Yeah.
next topic, which is expired. Which is for those of you right now, even if you're not Shannon Gillette, what you'll love about Portfolio is you have complete control over the stats that we show up there. So you can
Mhm.
hide and show, you can customize, you can feature. We integrate with your Zillow profile, we integrate with your reviews, we integrate with your marketing campaigns to be able to pull all that down. So what we find to be true, listen, there are lots of agents who do some amazing work, but everyone's got a couple things that are probably not as good as the market. So maybe they sell
Yep.
houses faster, but they do more price reductions, or
Yep.
they do more price reductions, but they have, let's say, a better outcome, whatever that might be. Well, you have control over that. So you'll be able to control that. But I'll go back to this earlier point, Chris, which is if you don't document your work, you can't amplify your success. And I will
Yep.
tell you, it's like the best asset you have as an agent is your
Yeah.
experience. And
Yep.
if you don't have that information available, and that's why Beacon, that's why we built portfolio on the back of Beacon, is because like Beacon
Mhm.
helps you make sure you keep track of all the things you're doing so that now all of your marketing looks better. And by the way, just a quick Easter egg, at the end of today's session, this is a 2-hour workshop. At the end of today's session, I'm going to show you something that's going to blow. Chris hasn't even seen this yet, and it's all its glory. I'm going to show you something that's going to blow your mind in terms of being able to take Beacon and turn it into seller lead generation campaigns. So stick around to the very
Okay.
end.
Awesome. So Jimmy, Cannonball Marketing,
Yes,
take the
sir.
lead on this. And I'm pumped about this because the thing that you do such a good job of is it's almost like you're stitching together tactics
Hmm.
into a strategy.
That's right. That's right. Jim Collins wrote the book Good to Great, and in that book, he talked about this idea of fire bullets and then a cannonball, which is try a bunch of ideas, and if you know the idea works, put all of your effort behind that idea. So the concept of cannonball is an ode to the great Jim Collins, and what the idea is that if you are going to market to expired listings, which by the way is a massive, massive, massive market. I mean, we're now seeing about 1 of every 4 listings in the US expire. So I don't care what market you're in right now, this is a growing segment that you can get after. We also know that about 45 days is the average time it takes someone to relist their home. And about half of those people relist it with a new agent. So your consumer, Chris, your home expires. What happens is your phone starts ringing off the hook. Every agent and their brother has some mojo dialer system where they get alerted that you have your home expired and they just start dialing for dollars. So your phone goes from no calls from agents to having 15 calls in the first day. So
Hmm.
how do you stand out when everybody is competing for the same business?
Hmm.
That's the cannonball. And
Yeah.
so the idea with the cannonball is this, is that we are going to basically include this basic framework, which is, hey, do you understand my situation? Can we communicate in a clear and compelling way that I understand what you're going through right now? Number
Hmm.
2, can I prove to them empirically, objectively, that I'm good at my job? And
Yep.
finally, number 3, and the best thing I heard about this, Chris, is that it said wealthy people don't want options, they want a plan.
Yeah.
Expired listings don't want options, they want a
Yeah.
plan. They got options, right? They got options. They can just lower the price. They can hire the same agent. They got options. What they're looking for is an agent to give them a plan. And so the
Yep.
cannonball consists of, Chris, this is really important. The cannonball
Yep.
consists of all of these letters in one package.
Right.
Okay. And what you're looking at right now, this is an example of the relaunch plan. This is like what happened and what's going to be different now. So this is you
Hmm.
you trying to communicate in a really clear way. Here's what's happened. Here's what's going to be different now. If you go to the next
Yep.
slide for me, Chris, we'll have another example of this. This is the sales letter. You can take a screenshot of this. This is me explaining, hey, this is your situation. I'm going to lead with empathy. I'm going to ground it with some data. I'm going to help try to reset expectations. And I'm going to start moving us forward in the conversation. And
Hmm.
building on that idea, if you go to the next slide here, Chris, this is an opportunity for me. Best advice I got from a guy named Eli Wild, who's a speech coach for Tony Robbins. He says, Jimmy, if you're trying to convince anyone to do anything, you have to destroy the objection in their mind. And so this part of the cannonball effectively is saying, taking your online reviews from Google or from Zillow and saying, what is the objection a seller would have in the scenario? And how can I give or point to or reference a customer testimonial that specifically addresses that objection? And then finally, Chris, you're looking at the resume, which is like, this is just a recap, it's a quick fact sheet. Hey, here's what we've done. Here's the transactions. And by the way, if you're an agent, use your teams. If you're a new team, use your brokerage, right? Like just
Hmm.
roll up to whoever's got the biggest and best numbers within your
Yep.
orbit is the idea. If I've
Yeah.
been selling houses
100%.
for like 3 months, Chris, I'm calling Julia and say, hey Julia, I'm going to use the Lawton team's entire production. Like, it's
Yeah.
like me, it's like the backup center for when Will Chamberlain's playing. It's like, yeah, me and Will combined for 68 rebounds this game or 68 points this
Yeah.
game. Like
Yeah.
use your team stats is the point.
Hmm.
So let me just end with this on the expire cannonball is Cannonball, I mean, expired listings is a massive opportunity, unquestionably massive opportunity. What I want you to do is I want you to package together all of this information into a FedEx envelope, and I want you to mail it. Cost $7.50 or $10, depending on which how many days you're doing it. Get it all in their mailbox on their doorstep, and then the idea behind it is make the first impression the best impression. Make the
Yeah.
first impression the best impression. Get in front of them. And this is how we're having clients, Chris, right now, kind of get out of this world where they're competing against 1,000 agents and actually getting listings from expired marketing.
Yeah. I love the quote on this one that says, "You weren't wrong. You just didn't have the right plan."
That's right. That's
They
right.
get what I'm worried about, right? Um, and I included a couple prompts here that can make this a little bit more hyper local. But it's really smart. Like you're talking about, like maybe you should just use your franchises stats. Like Compass sold this many billion. Like, I mean, hey, when you're new, you got to do what you got to do. Obviously, not claiming it as your own stats, but
I'm
I
part of an
think that,
org- I'm part of an organization. Exactly. Why don't you break this video down for us, Chris? Because this is an example of something you're really passionate about, which is this
Mhm.
idea of how do you like take the success of helping someone who's listing expired and like repurpose it in new and creative ways.
Yeah. Yeah, and all of this is just us coaching you guys. Obviously, we talked about Beacon, but the cannonball marketing is the expired listing tactic. What I
That's right.
wanted to like kind of dump on top of that is there's also ways to turn expireds into more listings. So obviously you kind of go after an expired, but then you
Mm-hmm.
get one. And if you look
Mm-hmm.
at what Sydney and Nick said, after 6 months, oh wow, what a coincidence. That's how long a listing agreement is. After 6 months of struggling to get traction on our 1960s ranch, my partner and I called Vanessa. In two
Yeah.
weeks with small changes, there was a world of difference. I could not gush more about her. So I want to show you guys an Instagram reel that Vanessa from Domo Realty did that is a way to turn an expired into marketing.
And defeated. That's exactly how the owners of 1377 Oak Drive felt when they couldn't sell their house. Their first agent tried for 171 days. 3 price drops, nothing. By April, they pulled the listing at 925. Then they called me. The restaging and targeted video marketing worked. And 3 days later, after multiple offers, we were under contract for $932,750. But best of all, we were able to move into their perfectly sized dream home with more freedom and money in the bank. Are you thinking about making a move this year? Shoot me a DM. Let's
Yeah, really good. So
Mm-hmm.
I do think sometimes we get a little caught up on like, that these are old school tactics, but there's a new way to do old school. And one of the sort of overarching themes that hopefully people are picking up at this point in the workshop is like you're trying to create a flywheel. You're
That's right.
trying to create a world where everything you do does something else. So
Mm-hmm.
you prospect for expireds, you get an expired, you turn that expired into marketing.
That's
That
right.
marketing leads to a listing. You blow their mind with Beacon. Beacon powers portfolio. This is what they call a flywheel in the marketing world. So the next and actually, Jimmy, this is the last what I would call past and proven. So we went through
Sure.
FSBOs, went through just solds, we went
Mm-hmm.
through magic buyer, we went through expireds, good
Yep.
old fashioned open houses. But I'm going to throw you an objection on this one
Yeah.
because we have seen a lot of people say, "Hey, I don't do open houses; they don't work."
Mm-hmm.
Okay, like actually, let's ask the chat. Give us a Y or an N. Do you even do open houses? Yes or no? Okay. A lot of yeses.
Good.
Okay. Yeah. And there's somebody at the top before the numbers came in, 80% of my business, Dorothy, comes from open houses.
Yep.
What's funny, Jimmy? I have met agents that have such a proven way to market and promote their open houses that the line's around the door every single time. So
Yep.
but this is a seller lead gen workshop. And traditionally, open houses would attract buyer leads.
That's
So
right.
talk a little bit about A, how you think of open houses, and then I'll go into B, how we get listings from them.
Well, I got a DM from Nicole Odom who's picked up 2 additional listings on the back of doing marketing around her listing, and one of the core things she does is neighbor only open houses. And something you and I were talking about before the call, Chris, which is an open house is an audition. It is an
Hmm.
audition for a listing appointment. That's the way to think
Yeah.
about it, right? So, of course, there's a couple different values you can get from an open house, but an open house is an audition for a listing appointment. So, what I would be doing as an agent, especially on the neighbor only open houses, is I'm prioritizing that because I want to make sure that I get myself in front of as many people as possible. It is the one time you have, Chris, the one opportunity you have to like confidently door knock or confidently cold call is because you're not calling to sell them something. You're just calling them to invite
Yeah.
them to something. So you've got
Yeah.
this window where you should be, I mean, absolutely full on, all gas, no brakes, taking advantage of the fact that not just an open house, because an open house is great, but a neighbors only open house. And Chris, by the way, it might be for like 1 hour before the public one, just to
Yeah.
be clear, right?
Exactly. Yeah. The
Totally
first
fine.
hour. Yeah. Look what Alex just said, by the way. Just did his first neighbors only. 3 renters looking to purchase a home in the neighborhood. I will
That's
always
right.
do a neighbor's open house. So I actually created like, I don't think most people on the call should do this, but like think of it as like instead of only fans, it's only neighbors. And like I would have a neighbor, like I would have an open house sign, but
Yeah.
I would have a neighbors only open house sign.
Yeah.
And the other thing I would do is I would door knock, but a lot of people aren't home. I would
Sure.
do door hangers just like the one that you see, making
Yeah.
it crystal clear. Neighbors only this time, this
Yeah.
date. Scan to RSVP. Keep it
Hmm.
simple. But you're right, Jimmy. You don't have a lot of valid excuses to knock on doors. The other thing, this is critical because it's a 1-2 step, right? It's a jab and a hook. You need to follow up with the neighbors in a very different way than you would follow up with the buyers, right?
Hmm.
So what is on the right? You guys can swipe this. Hey Tom, it's Chris with Compass. I really appreciate you stopping by the open house on Banana Street this weekend. It's always great meeting neighbors who keep an eye on what's selling.
Hmm.
That one created a lot of activity. If you'd ever like a quick breakdown of what it means for your home's value, happy to share, no pressure, just useful
Yeah.
info. There's not even an ask, but
Yeah.
you're going to put all the time into marketing and promoting the neighbors only, and a bunch
That's
of the
right.
neighbors show up, you need to complete the feedback loop and you need to have a follow up strategy as well. Now, clearly, Jimmy, we could extend this one more because now imagine 2 months later, they
Hmm.
get the yellow letter about the home selling,
That's right.
right?
That's
It's
right.
all working in conjunction. The next couple strategies involve video,
Just
specifically
su-
YouTube. Yeah, sorry.
yeah. So just super quick because we had a couple comments that I want to make sure we touched on,
Yeah.
which is earlier when we were talking about the magic buyer letter. I saw a
Hmm.
couple people saying, "I don't have any buyers, so what do I do? I don't want to lie." Right? Totally
Yeah.
get it. We're not. We would never like lying is not a strategy. It's just lying. Okay, to be clear. So the reason you do an open house is because that's how you beat buyers. And in
Hmm.
fact, Trey, my buddy Trey in San Antonio, he got 2 listings, not appointments, 2 listings by doing an open house magic buyer letter, Chris. He said,
Mm.
"Hey, we just held an open house at 123 Main Street. We had about 7 families come through.
Mm.
Unfortunately, only one of them can actually buy this property. I
Yeah.
promised the other 6 families that came through that I would do everything in my power to help them find a home in this neighborhood. I don't blame you for not selling. This is an amazing neighborhood. Everybody knows it. But if you are at least open to the idea of potentially putting your house in the market, here's my phone number. I can check you off my list if the answer is no, but I'd love to have a conversation." And so I just
Yeah.
like that's like the neighbors only open house is an audition for you for your listing presentations, but combine like stack those concepts is the idea behind that, Chris.
I love it. I absolutely love it. All right, moving forward. This is what I would call some of the hot new ways to
Yeah.
generate buyer leads. And the first few are they're helpful for your past clients and sphere, but the first few are meant to get the people that don't know you
Yeah.
into the holding pattern of the people that know you. So I was analyzing a bunch of different YouTube videos that were seller focused. And
Yeah.
what's so great about them is that it's like crystal clear that they're seller focused. This video, I'm going to show a short clip from it.
Okay.
This video has 618,000 views.
Wow.
This video
Okay.
has over 820 comments.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at the comment, thank you. Now we're educated. Thank you, Katie. I've listened to a lot of videos on the changes. This is the best explanation. Read that last
Mm-hmm.
sentence.
Mm-hmm. This is the best explanation. Where am I looking, Chris? Oh, a
What?
keeper as I become a seller soon, right?
Yeah, like that's literally screenshotted from YouTube. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
this again, but what she did is she told a story about this kind of confusing situation where the listing agent was offering buyer's agent commission.
Yeah.
The buyer didn't have an agent, he used an attorney who gets the money. So watch
Mm-hmm.
this quick clip because she does a great job of storytelling a real world scenario.
Need a UGC video for your business?
That
Find
is
me
not
and
her.
many other skilled creators on Fiverr. Or you
So a viewer
Here
reached
we
out
go.
to me and asked me if this was a normal situation. His listing agreement stated that he was supposed to pay 5.5% to the listing agent. And out of that, 2.5% would be paid to the buyer's agent when they brought an offer. So he actually did go under contract, but here's the thing, is that the buyer did not have an agent. The seller knew the buyer personally. It was a friend of a friend. And the buyer said, hey, I want to come see your house. So the seller opened the door for the buyer. The buyer came into the house. The buyer hired an attorney to write up the real estate contract, presented the offer to the seller's agent, and negotiated it themselves. So the question becomes, where does that 2.5% go that was supposed to be paid to the buyer's agent? Now, the buyer thought that it was going to go back to the seller, and that's why they came in with the offer that they did. And the seller thought, hey, well, if there's no buyer's agent, then that 2.5% would come back to me. But the listing agent said, absolutely not, because you signed a contract for 5.5%. So 2.5% comes back to me. Now, I'm really going to get in depth in this video.
Jimmy,
For,
that's some
for,
tea right there.
well, first off, can we just give her a shout out for the cold open? I mean, that
Yeah.
like of all, can you just break what a cold open is down? Because this is probably one of the like I'm leaning in at this point.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to ruin your enthusiasm for the cold open.
Okay.
That is not the cold open.
Okay.
I
Okay.
use the old start at 34-second trick.
Oh,
But
okay. Okay.
yeah. I did that for
just
all
start
of
the video
these.
there.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
No,
Okay.
but
Cool.
it really does pull you in,
Yeah.
right?
Sure.
And it's like, oh, because it's like, well, it sounded like the buyer and the seller agreed. And then it's like,
It's
yeah,
great.
the
It's
listing
great.
agent doesn't agree.
Oh
So
yeah.
this is what I would call, the honest agent. And like you said before, not every
Hmm.
transaction that you should focus on is the one that went smoothly. This
Yeah.
clearly did not go smoothly. The next video, this one, it just jumped off the screen. 94,000 views, 416 comments. And the title is so seller focused, it's crazy. Serious trouble in these three Orlando communities. Get out now.
Hmm.
So that is sort of like a little clickbaity. He's
Sure.
definitely going contrarian and he's definitely going a little push the bruise, but that
Yeah.
works. And one of the things I noticed in the comments, Jimmy, literally dozens and dozens of people saying, hey, can you do one of these for Volusia County? Hey,
Yeah.
could you do one of these for this zip code? Could you actually do the same analysis for my neighborhood? Because he did such a good job. So I just want to show a quick clip of how he positions what seems really negative. Like, no
Sure.
offense to my man, but this has almost Alex Jones vibes on the thumbnail, right? But I want to
Yeah.
position how he positioned the negative, and it actually ended up having a really positive spin.
We're going to go right downtown in Orlando. So right here, you're going to see the very hottest populous marketplace is 32803. Now, this particular market, you can see at the peak of 2022, it was at the strongest point. Sellers had complete control of the marketplace right here. This is whenever it was the hardest time, was probably February of 2022, and particularly the end of 2021. You would have to put multiple offers. You'd have, competition. You waive all of your contingencies. You couldn't get an appraisal. You're going to give them your firstborn and maybe let them have the keys to your car in order to get them to accept your offer. Now, look what happened after interest rates climbed. It started to slide into the beginning of the last year. And then many of these markets gained some sea legs back and pulled strength towards the seller side again. But you can see that even though this is the strongest marketplace, again, dividing the graph, there is a middle line here at the right around the 50 point. So when it drops below a calculation of 50, it tells us that.
So, Jimmy, that is one of the best
Yeah.
uses of Altos research data I've ever seen.
By far.
And
By far.
remember, that was like one of the best areas. All he was saying is like, here's the peak, and then there was a valley, and then there was a peak, and we're kind of headed back towards the valley. So he was even showing like he wasn't even saying like, you know, this is the bad area, move away before you get, mugged. He was
Yeah.
just saying your home value did peak and your home
hmm
value is trending down. So I thought that was great. What do you think of that? I feel like you had a reaction to that, but I thought that was
Well,
an awesome delivery by him.
part of gaining trust is a
Hmm.
small admission.
Hmm.
And this is an old psychological tactic. A small admission is the quickest way to build trust.
Hmm.
The market doesn't have feelings. We as agents in the agent community have to stop defending the market. If the market's going down, the more direct and honest you can be about that, the more objective you can be about that, the more trust you build. It's when people say, "Hey, Chris, how's the market?" And you're like, "Oh, the market's great." Like for some reason, agents were trained to always be positive and enthusiastic about the market. The market doesn't have feelings. It doesn't need you to defend it. What consumers are desperate for is they're desperate for agents to provide them insight so they can have confidence.
Yeah.
And that's the job. And so my reaction to it, Chris, is despite the fact that he does look like Alex Jones, and we have to get him to like wear different clothes or something, right? Like
He's
it's
better looking than Alex
he
Jones.
is.
Come
He is.
on.
I haven't seen Alex Jones in a long time, dude. So like, but the point is like the guy's fantastic. He's like
Yeah.
his information is really good. It's really
Right.
and his it's like if you, even if you have a clickbaity headline, you can
Yep.
kind of like lower the temperature and just do exactly what he's doing. So I love it, dude. Great work.
Yeah, and by the way, that's why people want it for their area. Like you
That's
can't
right.
force people to leave comments like that. All right. By the way, I know that this 2 hour workshop. Some people have to jump in and out. If you sign up for Beacon and you attend the training next Monday, you're going to get the recording and all the slides from today for free with
hmm
purchase. Also, if you're a member of the conversion club, or if you're already a Beacon customer who got a free membership to the conversion club, you're also going to get the recording. Jimmy,
That's
this was
right.
something I found in your research that blew me away. And so we have one more YouTube video to show a quick clip from. I'm actually
hmm
really glad I included these. But what is the silver tsunami for people that maybe are not familiar with that term?
The silver tsunami represents half of all sales in the U.S. It's people over the age of 60 who are selling their house. And these individuals, what's interesting about the research on this, because I've done a lot of research on this cohort of customers,
Mhm.
is that these individuals are not so much concerned about some massive win or windfall. They're not looking for gains. They're looking to avoid risk. And that's why, all of Open Door has spent $1 billion or more on advertising. And despite
Yeah.
that, they basically have like, 1% market share in the US. The reason they have been unsuccessful going after this market share is because it's all about cash offer, sell your house in one day, you're approved, it's all about quick, speed, convenience. The silver tsunami, it's not about speed or really even convenience. It's about certainty and it's about confidence. And
Yeah.
for someone who's looking to sell their house, who's been living in there for 23 years, they don't care if it takes them a month to sell their house versus one day. In fact, it actually has Chris, let me give you an example of this. You and I go to a restaurant. Now, listen, you and I have different opinions about this because I'm a lot more bougie when it comes to food. But one thing is true, Chris. If you and I went to a restaurant, okay, we sat down, you
Mhm.
order the steak, I order the burger. The food
Mhm.
comes out in 3 minutes. What are you and
Yeah.
I both saying to ourselves?
Yeah. How did like they must have already cooked it. It's
It's
like clearly
it's
this isn't made to order. Yeah.
it's like that was too quick, right? Like, so there's something about this idea that sometimes too fast actually has a negative impact on like the perception of the thing that you're selling. So we want to call this out because with Silver Tsunami,
Yeah.
we have some campaigns here, Chris, but it's a massive cohort. But you have to understand your marketing, your messaging, your targeting. It all has to adjust to this customer base.
Well, and let me just throw this out there, but because when we were in Paris, you're supposed to be bougie, but you didn't finish the snail. I finished the snail. I ate the snail. I swallowed the snail. You spit the
Oh
snail
man.
out. So don't
No,
tell me
yeah.
I'm the non-bougie one. All
That's it.
right.
You're the first person. You're the first person in Lakeland to ever eat a snail. I'll tell you that much. All
All
right.
right. Yeah.
Uh,
So this is the last video, real quick. And
yep.
this is addressing that generation head on. For
Sure.
sale over 60. And I was reading through the comments because this one has 59,000 views, 162 comments. And the comments were so poignant. Like, I can't tell you how many people talked about their spouse or their parents dying. After my mother's death, I had to sell her
Yeah.
stuff, so much stuff. Her garage was packed. I even had to
Yeah.
hire someone to empty out the house. So this
Sure.
is an emotional, poignant message.
Hmm.
But this lady does such a good job of like being level-headed in her explanation of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
A CRM shouldn't weigh
Her name
your
is
budget.
Jen
Just simply overwhelming. Well, the good news is you're not alone. These are very normal challenges, and I want to help you. I want to give you some tips, some strategies to help you navigate this process. I'm going to talk to you about navigating the emotional attachment to a house and how that can be a major roadblock. Preparing your house for sale. How can you prepare your house for sale without taking tons of time and tons of stress? How to prepare for actually moving and downsizing. If you've been in your home for a very long time, that is a big undertaking to figure out how that all pieces together. And then stay tuned to the end because I've got a bonus that's going to hit on the financials of moving. There
What a great call to action by her, by the way.
I mean,
And
I'm taking notes, dude. This is great.
yeah, for those of you that are, not doing video or you think you're not the right demographic to be a YouTuber, I'm just telling you that you're wrong. Anyone can do it. And she did a great job. Check out those videos. All right, Jimmy, the next two are very simple. I'll cover them
Hmm.
because now we're moving into the people that already know you. Okay.
That's right.
So now we're going to kind of round the bases here with the people that already know you, like you, trust you, or at least connected to you. They're in the holding pattern,
That's
and
right.
we just got to get them to land the plane.
Hmm.
So one of the easiest ways to do that is actually through polls that are fun and interactive on social media.
Hmm.
This is a poll where the sticker that you add, you can do these on Instagram or Facebook, the sticker that you add to the poll allows them to type in a custom answer. So the it's not a poll, sorry. The thing you're looking to add onto your story is
Yeah.
called a question. Okay. So in this example, just out of curiosity, if this was your text to me, if I could sell my house for blank,
Hmm.
I would list my home this spring. Drop your answer below. Very simple. Some people probably put really funny stuff. Some people probably say nothing. I love my house. But you're going to identify some people that might actually have a realistic goal, or this is just remembering that you're not a secret agent, right?
That's right.
If everything that you put out on social media is just sort of lifestyle, behind the scenes, food, kids, right? You got to remind people sometimes. So that's a very easy poll that anyone could run. And we have one similar coming up as an email campaign as well. The second one is an actual poll. So for this
Mm-hmm.
one, you would actually choose poll where you can put in multiple answers. So this is an example where some really compelling data came out. Goldman Sachs predicts home prices will rise.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the right, average homeowner could tap into this much equity. And you
Mm-hmm.
can see the answers on the left poll. If home prices
Yeah.
go up, I will consider selling my home. We'll see when rates drop. I'm undecided. You can see on
Yeah.
the right poll, if you checked your equity recently. I haven't. I only use Zillow. And so these are ways to kind of what I call a hand raiser. This is a way to use social media for free, leverage some interesting data, put it into an interactive format, and get a bunch of responses.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very straightforward. But Jimmy, you've got a text message. I couldn't believe the feedback. This is called the perfect text message. Okay, and
Mm-hmm.
we're going to show the text message. Get ready to screenshot it. But I was looking at the feedback on this thing.
Yeah.
13 responses and 3 listing appointments. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I have 6 more responses. I just didn't want to flood the feed. Okay. So
Yeah.
she was sharing the actual responses. Hashtag winning with Jimmy. So this is a text that literally either while we cover it or after the call, this would be one of those things, just like the poll, everybody could do immediately. What
That's
is the
right.
perfect text for seller leads?
Well, you're looking at it right now, and I'll break it down for you. It says, "Hey, Chris, I know this is probably the wrong time because that's the thought
Mhm.
that everyone has in their mind as they're thinking about selling. Hey, I want to sell, but it's not the right time. But I've been
Mhm.
talking to a lot of buyers who are very serious about making a move in the next 90 days. Would you be open to the idea of selling if you got a great offer?" Now, let me break this down for you for 30 seconds. The 3 most
Mhm.
important words in sales when it comes to prospecting, it's a lesson I learned last year, and I wish I learned it like a decade ago. 3 most
Mhm.
important words are bring something new. Every time I
Mhm.
reach out, every time I'm prospecting, every time I'm following up, I'm trying to bring something new, a market stat, a market story, something that's happening that I can share with the consumer, which is justifying the reason I'm reaching out. We destroy the
Yep.
objection. Hey, I know this is the wrong time because we're saying to ourselves, in their mind, they're probably saying it's the wrong time. But here's the
Mhm.
killer. This is the reason this worked. There's 2 reasons. Hey, I've been talking to a lot of buyers. This is the reason I'm reaching out. I've been talking to a lot of buyers. I just left an open house, Chris. I had 13 people. I just talked to my client who just moved up their timeline by 6 months. Whatever the
Mhm.
reason is, like you can justify it with that second section. And then
Yep.
the most important thing when it comes to any type of CTA through text is you've got to take this big decision. Actually, in the chat, let me know. Put a Y in the chat. Is selling your house a small decision or is it a big decision? Put a Y if it's a big decision. Is selling your house a big decision or is it a small decision? And
Mhm.
you can see yes, 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 yes. No one's saying it's a small decision. So what
Yeah.
you should do with your calls to actions and your offers is you take these big decisions and you turn them into
Mhm.
small decisions. So Chris, instead of saying, "Hey, are you thinking about selling your house?" I said,
Yeah.
"Hey, I use a hypothetical. Would you even potentially maybe even think about being
Yeah.
open to the idea of selling if
Mhm.
you got a great offer?"
Yeah.
So this is like it doesn't sound very complicated, Chris, but there's so much packed into that small message, which is why Tammy crushed it with that campaign.
Yeah. Well, in that blue part in the middle, that could have been like, but I just sold a property for $50,000 more than what Zillow said it was worth.
That's exactly right. That's
Yeah.
exactly right.
So that
Like,
can be situational. And then I've also seen almost like an outro that's like, and it says right there, I know this is probably the wrong time. You could add something like, I hate to ask, but I
mhm,
wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't.
that's
I
right.
love that. But wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask. Right.
Yeah.
So those are some things you can add as a remix. Now, this is back to the poll. This is the
Hmm.
email version. This is an
Yep.
email that people can send their database to get seller leads from their current email list.
That's right.
Emily just sent this today. I've had 11 conversations so far. What is this maybe price, Jimmy?
Yeah, well, you started at the very beginning of today's call giving the four different types of offers. What's my home worth, cash offer, equity check, seller net proceeds.
Mhm.
Part of being great, yeah, and Taylor's spot on. It's the old Jimmy Burgess line. I'd be the world's worst realtor if I didn't ask. I love that line.
Yeah, I love it.
Shout out to Jimmy Burgess. He delivers that with his 30A slag.
Yep.
So
Yep.
so what's part of being good at your job is finding creative ways to say the same thing.
Yeah.
And so the subject line, your maybe price, is like I'm lowering the barrier to a commitment. Low commitment
Hmm.
offers. Like I'm gonna write a book called Low Commit, not $100 million offers, low commitment offers. I mean, just like
Yeah.
lower the barrier to saying yes. Is there a number
Yeah.
where even if you're not planning on selling, you'd pause for a second and say, hey, maybe I'd consider it. Just curious where your head is at. And Chris,
Yep.
this one, Emily Hodgman said now she got 11 people talking to her about selling her house.
Hmm.
So this is the perfect email to send. That's just a quick conversation starter. Now, one quick pro tip. Do not send this in like a 2-column newsletter format. Do not
Yeah.
add your logo at the top of this email and then like your big signature and all like no, this should feel like a plain text email as if you literally wrote it in Gmail to them. So the formatting
Yep.
of this matters, which is why this one worked, but this is a good example of kind of remixing some of the offers you mentioned before.
Yep. And then the last one you're going to cover is the $100 million email. And
Yeah,
this one, you can do this as an email where I like this idea. I think it works great as an email. I love this idea as a DM.
that's right.
And I love combining this idea with net seller, sellernetproceeds.com.
Yeah.
But 5 CMA requests in the first hour, 4 CMA requests so far, 7 CMAs. Like, this is crazy. $100 million
Yeah.
email, Jimmy. I know everybody's excited about this one.
Well, this is the subject line here is and it's hard to see on the screen, but I'll read it for you, which is your home's value has changed. I actually got that subject line from Credit Karma because I got an
Hmm.
email. Credit Karma does great email marketing because it says your credit score changed. I said, oh,
Yeah.
let me click on that. Let me click on that email. And so like
Yeah.
going up, going down, who cares? It's change. Is that change is novelty? Change is what we pay attention to. And so what we
Hmm.
do now is we use something called the endowment effect, which is I'm going to make you feel like this is your thing, Chris. That you are
Yep.
now no. I'm no longer saying yes to. Now I'm just like taking away something. And so by
Yeah.
by saying, hey, I'm setting aside a few hours this week to put together equity reports for my clients. I'm now like saying, hey, I'm already doing this for you. And
Hmm.
now I have to sell the reports. They're more comprehensive and they're more accurate than you find from an online tool. Can I
Hmm.
send one for your home? And
Yeah.
and the why this email worked so well and why it continues to work so well, I'll give you one last pro tip on this. It's not
Hmm.
about what we included, it's about what we didn't include.
Hmm.
It's 2.5 lines. Like
Yeah.
did that part of it is you have like just in the chat right now, like how many of us love getting long emails?
Yeah.
But at the same time,
Well,
we
Jimmy, they like our long emails because they're super valuable, but I know what you mean.
well, our long emails are we do something really brilliant
Newsletter.
with them.
Yeah.
Well, they're
Yeah.
newsletter,
Yeah.
but we make them snackable. Is the point,
Yeah.
right? So like they're actually long, but they're short, which is important.
True.
Like
True.
we the average agent sends these ridiculously long, hard to read, cognitive overload emails,
Yeah.
whereas like you have to make things snack size. Even if you go long, you have to make them snack size. And so
Yeah.
this email worked so well. The pro tip is this, Chris. You can send this every quarter. You can send this email
Hmm.
4 times a year, not just once, 4 times a year. So if I'm adding 5 or 10 transactions in my business, I'm just sending this email out 4 times a year. And I love what you did at the bottom. Talk about the extending it to DM. I think it's helpful for people to wrap their head around this concept as well.
Yeah. I would actually, I'm curious to know in the chat. Um, we'll just do why. Like, drop a why in the chat if you have a lot of friends on social media that you don't actually have their email in your database.
Hmm.
Like, I think a lot of people have more real inner circle connections on social, they never even got their email, or maybe
That's
when
right.
they met them, they never added them, or in your phone, right? There's a ton of these. So you can go through your phone and do this, but this is what I call Facebook phishing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Every morning you send this DM to 3 people, and the only rule is that they're online right now, which literally it'll put a green dot next to their name if they're
Yeah.
online now. You can do this on Facebook or Instagram, depending on where your network's at. So it's just a remix. Hey, I'm putting together equity reports for my Facebook friends this week versus for my clients.
Yeah.
They're way more detailed and accurate than what I found online. Want me to send one for your home? So let me know. This gets the same crazy response rate. It actually gets a much higher percentage response rate because you're sending it 1-to-1 to someone that's online right now through a
Yeah.
method that gets way more responses than email. So combine these two ideas into one idea and you're going to be killing it. But Jimmy, I specialize in email newsletters.
That's
I
right.
own a company that does email newsletters for realtors. I personally do 3 newsletters per week, one for Beacon called Bits, one for Ella called Elevate, and one for myself called the Chris List. And I don't even need to ask in the chat. Like a ton of the people that are on this call right now came in through one of those emails.
That's
Like,
right.
so if they're wondering if email's effective, it's probably how you came here today. But what people don't understand, because the conversation style emails you just sent, we send those at
Mm-hmm.
Ella because
Mm-hmm.
a newsletter alone is not going to get as many conversations started because a newsletter is a one-way communication tool. People will
Mm-hmm.
reply to it. I get replies every week, but not at scale.
That's
But
right.
I want to give people this epiphany right now. Okay. This is a section from my email newsletter this week. And I did a really good breakdown of how a realtor in the burbs in Chicago is owning his market, and he only has 3,700 YouTube subscribers. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That section of my newsletter was 764 words.
Mm-hmm.
The call to action that you see below that is 17 words. And within that full write up, I snuck in a little thing that said, and that's why we now help agents with both high performing channels, high performing newsletters. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
2.23% of the content was a call to action.
Yeah.
97.7% was not. So when you talk about value ratio, it's through the roof. But if somebody were to click on that link, imagine if that link said, get your net proceed, calculate your net proceeds. Imagine if that link said selling your home soon.
That's
Imagine
right.
if that link said buying a home in the next 30 days, click here.
Mm-hmm.
So I call these hand raisers.
Yeah.
And so what everybody that does a newsletter should do, my client or not, is you want to go in, and all of these tools have analytics.
That's right.
So this is that same email. If I go over here to overview, I'll scroll down really quickly. So this is the section I was just talking about right here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the section. Boom, 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 right? A lot of
Yeah.
content. And then right here is the CTA. So what I want to do is I want to focus on who clicked that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really care who clicked to go watch the guy's videos. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Even though a lot of people did. So what I would do is I go to performance and I go down, and this is the email this is the link in the call to action. And if
Yeah.
I click on view details, these are the hot leads in my database.
Mm-hmm.
Because these, out of everybody that got that email, Dennis, John, Ken, and Susan
Mm-hmm.
clicked on a high intent lead, a
Yeah.
high intent link, I should
Mm-hmm.
say. So if you want to get seller leads and listings from an email newsletter, that's how it's done, my friends.
That's
Because
exactly
then
right.
you follow up with just those folks. Then you call them, you text them, you email them a second message like one of the conversation starters. And
Yeah.
I have exciting news coming soon about a tool I built that's free that sort of automatically sends you who raised their hand,
Yeah.
but that's for another call.
Well,
Last tip. Go ahead. Go ahead.
well,
Yeah, go ahead, Jim.
yeah, what you're saying there, Chris, and I think, and by the way, I'm really happy we have like 85% of people who started this call with us or ending this call with us because I promise you, when I show you what we're going to show you at the very end of today's call, the thing that Chris hasn't seen yet, like all
Yeah.
of you are going to be very happy you stayed. But Chris, what you said there, I think it's important people pick up on this, is that your email newsletter and your email campaigns are your best call list. And
Yeah.
so if you like in the chat, let us know how many people, you don't have to be exact, how many people do you have in your database? You got like, 500, 1,000, 2,000. So Chris, if you've got like 5,000 people in your database and you send a
Mhm.
newsletter, let's say you get like, 20% open rate. Okay, well now you've got about, I don't know, whatever that is, Chris, 5,000,
Mhm.
20%. That's 1,000 people to open up the email. You can't prospect 1,000 people that week. It's just not going to happen. So the challenge now is what Chris just did. I hope you guys picked up on this. He's like, he includes these little Easter eggs, these little links that help him identify the 10, the 20, the 30 people who you should definitely follow up with. And so
Yeah.
your email marketing is your best prospecting tool by far.
Yeah.
It helps you
And
take
this
the
goes
big number,
back
big or
to
small.
it. Well, and it also goes back to the circle we showed, which is
That's right.
this is how you get people that know you to hire you on
Cool.
purpose without
Yep.
relying them to reach out to you. All right. Last tactic, and then we're going to do the unveil. This is actually something that I came up with. It's a little advanced. I'm going to keep it super simple. Okay. Super simple. You're going to use AI. And what the AI is going to do for you is it's going to put a reminder on your calendar automatically. The reminder is going to be for every single person's home purchase or home sale anniversary that you've
Yep.
ever worked with. And it's going to give you a message to send them on that day that's unique and relevant and one of a kind. So,
That's
but
right.
before I do that, like, is it fair to say, just give me a quick yes or no, is it fair to say that you don't do a great job with remembering people's home anniversary? You don't reach out after maybe, let's call it the first year. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a big one. It's a big opportunity for a touch point. So I'm going to give you guys the high level, but we'll drop a link to this, Jimmy, because I walked
Mhm.
through it. But it's actually very easy. This takes less than 5 minutes because of AI. Okay. I did a write up on BAM about it. Step one, go to your MLS and get your closed buyer list. Okay.
Mhm.
Your closed buyer list are owners and sellers in the future. So step one, go to your MLS, export your list as a CSV. Step two, by the way, the last step, you can copy and paste this prompt. And it basically says for each property, go to my CRM, find the client, pull the notes, and
Mhm.
summarize it, and then put it into a message in my calendar.
That's right.
So the AI will do all of this. It will log into your CRM. It will match the records from the CSV. It will then go into your calendar and add this. And here's an example of a message that it wrote. Hey, John and Jane, happy 1 year anniversary. I still remember how excited the kids were about the screen pool in the big backyard. I hope the kitchen renovation turned out the way you envisioned. If you've welcomed a furry friend by now, I'm sure they're loving the yard too. Congratulations on the anniversary of your home.
Mhm.
How could it write that, Jimmy? Well, because that's the kind of stuff you have in your notes in a
Yeah.
CRM. So
Yep.
it extracts the highly personalized content and it references that in the note. So this would
Mhm.
be a leapfrog innovation for most people on the call. You can go from not sending anything to sending something awesome, and you can really lean on AI to do most of the heavy lifting.
I love it. I think everyone on the call right now realizes, and I'll recap a couple points here. We have covered the magic buyer letter. We have covered direct mail. We have covered FSBOs. We've covered expired marketing. We talked about leveraging YouTube. We gave you a handful of text and email scripts. We covered polls. And now we're ending with leveraging your email newsletter and finally leveraging your client's home anniversary. I hope that you remember at the beginning of today's session, we talked about everything. It's a lot of information to cover. But if you really want to build a growth first business in real estate, you can't just rely on your SOI. You got to be able to convert the top of funnel, the middle of the funnel, the bottom of the funnel. You got to be able to take strangers, turn them into customers. And so we wanted to give you a ton of ideas and tactics that are working right now. And I really hope it resonates. So Chris, I'm going to pass the mic back to you. Let's talk about Beacon one more time, and I'll do my big unveil here.
Sure. Well, before I go into Beacon, I want you guys to drop a fire emoji or just write the word fire in the chat if you're glad you attended this 2-hour workshop, because I'm going to just let you guys know that I spent days putting this together. Jimmy has literally spent years with some of the content and the tactics and tricks that you guys are saying. So we're going to do right now what we advise you do. If this helps your business, now we're going to ask you to help our business. I mentioned earlier the Conversion Club. This is how you get the recording. The Conversion Club has 38 2 to 3 hour workshops, all the slides, all the notes, all the videos, and everything as well in an audio format. It isn't just me and Jimmy that teach. It's Mark Davison from 1000 Watt teaching branding. It's Ken Pozek teaching YouTube. It's Jason Cassidy teaching Instagram. It's Amy Youngren teaching inside sales. The quickest pitch I can give for this is that it is masterclass for real estate. It's the smartest people in the world teaching the most important topics. So if you do join Beacon, or if you're already a paying Beacon customer, we are making the Conversion Club a bonus. You're going to get over 35 workshops at $600 a year. There's prompts, there's cheat sheets, there's the conversion code course based on my book. There's the exactly what to say course based on my book with Phil Jones and Jimmy. And this is where the replay goes. So the replay and the slides go there. All you have to do to get all those bonuses, start your free trial of Beacon. You're going to get portfolio for free. You're going to get a lifetime membership to the Conversion Club for free. And you're going to be able to attend a free live training on Beacon and portfolio next Monday before your free 7-day trial is even over. So we're going all out. Go to buildyourbeacon.com to join. You can also scan the beautiful QR code that I made, Jimmy. I know you love. That's a nice little touch, the custom QR code. But I know you're going to show something crazy cool. Before you do that, you just explain the relationship between Beacon and portfolio. At a high level, I want everyone to know you sign up for Beacon and you get portfolio. So that you don't sign up for portfolio, you sign up for Beacon. Because we then have all these reports that you're creating, we can create a portfolio. Anything else to add there, Tammy?
Well, we had questions on price. So it's a 7-day free trial, and the price starts at $99 a month. And it varies based on the number of listings you actually actively have. So if you go to our pricing on the homepage, you'll see if you're selling like 10 to 20 houses a year, you're not going to spend any more than $99 a month. If you're selling 140 homes a year, it's about $149. 60 homes a year, about $199. And then if you're selling about 80 homes a year, it's about $249. So your price is going to be dictated by the number of homes you're selling per year. As a quick note, like everything we do, you have a 7-day free trial to fall in love with it. Let me just give it, and we're going to go like 3 minutes over, but I think right now we probably have in the chat, let me know, like, are you currently using Beacon? Yes or no? Like yes or no in the chat if you're currently using Beacon. Because everyone who says no is going to say yes when I show you what I'm about to show you. Because I'll tell you right now, Chris, the number one reason why people, agents, like the biggest regret they have at the end of the year is that they sell 10 houses, they do all the marketing to get the house sold, and then the time when the home's finally sold, like nothing happens. They're on to the next transaction. And if all they did was promote every home they sold the same way they promote every new listing they take, they would double the amount of sales they have. I mean, so just think about this for a concept. If you promoted your sales as aggressively as you promoted your new listings, you would double your production. So when we started building portfolio, as you can see, just real quickly, high level, this is Beacon. You can create a Beacon by just simply adding in an address. We'll build a beautiful report for you. Everything that you saw in these reports, the online performance, the featured campaigns, the showings, the comps, the activities, all of that is effortlessly managed through kind of our build mode here. And we'll cover this in much more depth on Monday. But again, we'll get you trained in 30 minutes. Most people don't even require any training. We just do it because it's useful to share it.
And just let us know. Can you guys see Jimmy's screen really quick?
Yeah, let's
I
make sure.
lost it. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah,
cool.
so there might be a little tab there. Cool.
Yeah.
So now, as like in Shane's case, Shane's got 24 beacons in there. Well, Shane now has a button called Portfolio. When he clicks on Portfolio, this is a roll up of his highlights. And so just like Beacon, here's his portfolio, here's his sales history, here's his sales map, here's all the data around his production, here's his online reviews and his portal views, here's some highlighted campaigns, and then his showings, and finally his AI analysis of his reviews. All of that we generate through using the Beacon data as well as the data from his Zillow profile with his reviews and his performance. And again, you can manage it, you can tweak it, you can edit it. It's all available to you. Okay. So right now, like, you should sign up for Beacon when you see these two things. I mean, it's just so obvious when it comes to providing value for your business, simplifying your workflows, helping you communicate with your sellers. But Chris, here's the reason why I'm confident everybody on today's call is going to sign up for a free trial with Beacon. For those of you who haven't, and this is for all my customers, all of our Beacon customers who are part of our community. Chris hasn't seen this, by the way. What we have been building is we have this very simple idea: is if we can help you promote every sale the same way you promote your new listings, we can help you get a lot more listings. And so what we have built and what we're going to be releasing is the ability to take any one of your sales. I'll take an example here. And we're going to be able to create content around that sale. So in this case, we're going to start with a success story, because the success story is really the pillar of everything. So I'm going to come in here, I'm going to click on create content. I'm going to go ahead and choose create a just sold success story. Now, what's going to happen is we're going to analyze the beacon. We're going to analyze all the things you did to promote that beacon, all the things you did to market that beacon, all the things that happened, the showings and the activities. And we're going to run it against 52 viral angles that we have. And what we're going to do is we're going to generate what we think is the recommended angle. So you don't have to, this is 1,000 times better and more accurate than you get from ChatGPT, right? Okay, cool. Hey, I love this angle. Generate the story. It's going to take the content from the beacon. It's going to take the skills and the prompts that we provided, and it's going to build you a success story for that home that you now just sold. Now, Chris, this is the by the way, this is the beginning, folks. Are you guys with me on this? Like, in the chat, let me know if you have it. Like, this is the beginning. We're going to be able to, in the future, take this and turn this into social media posts, into email campaigns, into video scripts. But in order to do that, you've got to have like a success story to build this on top of. So I want you to imagine a world, Chris, where you as an agent take every single listing you sell and you turn it into a success story, you turn it into a sales letter, you turn it into a postcard, you turn it into a social media campaign. Like, you promote every sale the same way you promote your new listings. What would happen? Let me know in the chat. Like, what would happen to your business if you did this? Like, let me know in the chat. If you it'd be incredible. Go ahead, Chris.
Well, I was just going to say, so what's interesting is we knew that people didn't have a beacon in place. They had random acts of seller updates. Some called, some emailed, some did something in Canva, or they'd make a
Hmm.
PDF. Well, what happens is when you have a central location,
That's right.
what a lot of people call a single source of truth, you can then do new and amazing creative things off the back of it. So
Hmm.
you get a listing, you wow your seller by providing updates through Beacon,
That's right.
because Beacon has everything that happens during the transaction, the quality of the storytelling you can do, the specificity of the
That's right.
success stories you can create
That's
are
right.
through the roof compared to anything that you guys have ever seen. So when I think about a portfolio, because somebody said, what's different between this and my website? Could I get rid of my website? I'll tell people what I told you yesterday, Jimmy. If you have 10 or more active listings at all times,
Yeah.
I don't even know that you need a website. Like, and what portfolio does
Hmm.
is it grows as your production grows. Every beacon becomes another page. But
That's right.
that home page of portfolio is auto updating because every time there's a new beacon, there's more data. Every time there's a beacon, there's more showings. Every time there's a beacon, there's more comps. Every time there's a beacon, there's more social media campaigns. So
Hmm.
this is a dynamically created and dynamically updated asset that is
Hmm.
providing a level of transparency for consumers that no one has ever seen before. For everybody that's a client, go into portfolio right now, set it up, send us a link, let us know what you think. Don't forget, Jimmy, pull this up in the browser, buildyourbeacon.com
That's right.
slash training
That's right.
slash training. That's going to open up the registration link for next Monday's training. And we'll go way deeper on what Jimmy just showed at that time. But thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for giving to us 2 of your hours to us. And if you are a Beacon customer or if you just became one, thank you so much. We're going to keep innovating things like portfolio, success stories. This is just the beginning. Honestly, what are we, 4 months into this, Jimmy?
We're 4 months old at this point.
Yeah,
We're still in the crib at this point. But yes, as Chris said,
exactly.
we're incredibly grateful for all the love and support. Keep sharing that feedback. We love you guys, and we will see you next month.
Awesome. Thanks.